Okay, we're filming here at Sidekicks Pub in the Seattle area, and so I have a Seattle question for you.
Absolutely.
Climate Pledge Arena.
Yes.
Amazon did the naming rights, but didn't call it Amazon.
Yeah. Was that surprising?
Yeah, kinda. Kinda. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Sidekicks Conversations. I'm Mike Sievert. Environmental sustainability. It is more important than ever to companies of all sizes, including T-Mobile. And there's a reason for that. Consumers and employees are demanding it, and they're choosing brands that are responsible. So this year, T-Mobile signed on to the Climate Pledge, which Amazon co-founded. And today, with Sidekicks Conversations, I am joined by Cara Hurst, who leads social and environmental issues at Amazon as Vice President of Worldwide Sustainability. Cara, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, so we signed on to the Climate Pledge.
Yes.
That was co-created by Amazon. Let's just kind of start there. We'll just ease into it. The Climate Pledge. What is it?
What is it?
Why is it important?
Yeah, it's a really exciting effort, and we're super glad to have T-Mobile as part of it. So we were working on environmental sustainability, so thinking about energy efficiency, about renewable energy, our operational changes that we needed to make, product changes, how we show up as a company in the world. And as we looked at the science and we saw what the IPCC reporting was saying, meaning the International Panel on Climate Change, the science was telling us that the effects of climate change were coming more rapidly, faster than we had expected, and they were coming in more intense ways. And we see this. We see this in our community through floods, through fires. We see it through heat indices. And so we took a look at that and said, we want to commit to going net zero as a company. And we think we can do that faster than what the Paris Agreement said, which was to 2050. So the Climate Pledge is our commitment to be net zero carbon across our global operations by 2040, 10 years ahead of the Paris Agreement. And as we were talking about that, we did two things. One, we brought in partners with Global Optimism, founded by Christiana Figueres, who's the architect of the Paris Agreement. And two, we really wanted to make this more than just an Amazon commitment, to make it an invitation as a pledge to other industries, because one of the things we know is that we cannot go this alone. And so it's been 4 years since we founded the Climate Pledge, and we have 450 companies in it.
Now, obviously, your supply chain is bigger than anyone's in the world. Is this about getting your supply chain compliant, or was it really about collaboration or a larger idea? I mean, why take on the responsibility of something like the Climate Pledge?
We have over, 55 different industries across 38 different countries. This is trillions of dollars of revenue, millions of employees. So this is really a truly global effort. Many of those are partners, suppliers in our value chain at Amazon, but many are not. And really what we wanted to do was create a big tent where we learn from each other.
Certainly the learnings feed on each other, right? And that's one of the reasons why you want so many people involved. I gotta ask you the tougher question, which is why are you injecting yourself as Amazon, as a leader in this discussion, instead of just thinking about dollars and cents?
Well, it is dollars and cents, first of all. So I think there's a couple different reasons. One is that there's lots of ways you can do this and be more efficient. We're about frugality and efficiency at Amazon. Number one, we're customer obsessed. So everything that we're doing is really about our customer. Our customers care about this. They want to see us solve some of these issues on their behalf, and they see what's happening in their communities. So they want us to show up as a responsible company. So I think that's table stakes right now for any large company. So that's kind of the minimal reason to do it, I would say. It's an expectation. We're a big company. We should operate responsibly. We do, and we want to share that and talk about it. So we're also a frugal company. We want to be the most energy efficient that we can be. We want to save energy. We want to get out ahead of some of these things. So there's lots of ways too where we're doing things, we can find those things that are wins for the planet, good in the community, wins for the business.
To me, one of the reasons to be involved in this is that because of the scale of business, if we're not thinking about short term, if we're thinking about long term, I think we have an increasing responsibility as business to be a force for good in society. And that can be self-serving, right? I mean, if we're not just thinking about tomorrow, but the long term, we need a society that is functioning well and has a great economy and doesn't have dark clouds over it. And things like climate change can be a dark cloud over the long-term culture that we thrive in for financial success in the long run. So it can be doing well by doing good.
I don't think there's any company out there that doesn't want livable, healthy communities. We want them for all of our employees. We want them for our customers. We want them where we operate. It's better for the world. And so being a part of this, we can contribute our inventiveness. When we put electric vehicles on the road, that's great for us. We can create a cleaner delivery for our customer, but that cleans the air in that community as well, right? So you can see then you have cleaner air, asthma rates are going to go down, people are healthier. A lot of these things have, ancillary impacts that are just amazing. So I think none of us, who are in this are doing it just for one reason. There's so many reasons that you might take an angle, why you want to invest in sustainability, and you just have to kind of find what works for your company.
How does somebody that wants to support companies that are making genuine change in this area tell the difference between greenwashing and legitimate efforts? Like, how should we think about it as consumers or even as investors?
I can understand it. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it's technical. So I'll answer it in a couple different ways. One is if you're thinking about just products, right? We sell products on our Amazon.
A lot of them.
Yep, as a retailer. And we create our own products. So when we took a look at that, we want to being customer obsessed, we want to bring at scale solutions to our customers. Look at the companies that aren't following all the noise, they're following the signal. What's the science telling you? What are the operational changes you need to make? What are the biggest carbon levers you need to pull? But if you look at something like product and you're a customer, how would you know? So we went about creating a program called Climate Pledge Friendly, where we looked at the eco labels. We said, okay, that's not going to work. We narrowed it down to about 120, and then we narrowed that down to 20. And we started, and we created a badge called Climate Pledge Friendly. You can shop online, filter your shopping by that. And that, we've already done years of work to look at the science behind those third-party certifications and say, those are the credible ones. And now we're up to about 50 of those, and we add them over time. But we're doing that work on behalf of the customer to make it very easy for them to switch. Then we found this great effect where the companies who are enrolling their products in these, or their products qualify for them, they're seeing a 10% glance view lift, which is a great thing if you want to try to sell your product on Amazon.
Okay, we're filming here at Sidekicks Pub in the Seattle area, and so I have a Seattle question for you.
Absolutely.
Climate Pledge Arena.
Yes.
Amazon did the naming rights, but didn't call it Amazon.
Yeah. Was that surprising?
Yeah, kinda. Kinda. Could you tell us the origin story? How did that come about? And by the way, it just achieved a zero carbon certification as a complex, right? So that's a neat milestone. Maybe tell us a little bit more about Climate Pledge Arena.
It's a fantastic venue, so I think there's no better place to go see a show or watch a Kraken game or Seattle Storm. It's an incredible arena. So this is a historic arena in Seattle Center, and lots of music over the years. The Beatles have played there, so a really well-known venue. And when we had the opportunity to take the naming rights, the idea was what an opportunity. We had just done the Climate Pledge to think about broad-based climate education for hockey fans. So we like that, to put those kind of two things together, right?
Yeah.
How do you reach new audiences of people? How do you talk about climate in a way that's fun and inspirational and optimistic? This is, again, why we partnered with a group called Global Optimism. And if we did it, it would be the most sustainable arena in the world. Let's try. So one of the things that we did is we said, okay, we're going to try to get this certification, and we partner with the Institute for Future Living Institute, ILFI, and they have a net zero certification that we just received. But there's so many fun things that happened on the path to getting that. They put in a cistern on the roof that collects rainwater. We have a lot of rain
here. A lot of roof.
In Seattle, a lot of roof, a lot of rain. And we have the greenest ice in the NHL made with that rainwater.
I love it. And go Kraken,
And go Kraken.
Whose work are you admiring out there, or organizations largely? I mean, there's a lot happening in this space. Who are some of the thought leaders in your mind?
Well, I do really admire what you're doing at T-Mobile. I think you're walking the talk, right? You're talking about things you're doing for your customers. You're reporting externally and in really credible ways. You're sharing information. You're part of a very ambitious commitment in the Climate Pledge. So all of those things, when we look at what are the signals of credibility, T-Mobile is doing all of them. So kudos to you and your teams on that. I think that's amazing. Companies of all sizes and different industries that are doing interesting things. So one thing that comes to mind is we have the Climate Pledge Fund. It's a $2 billion venture fund where we invest in early stage decarbonizing technologies. Made about 23 investments out of that fund. So I look at companies in there like Beta, which is doing electric aviation. That is a moonshot, but really exciting to see how fast that's moving. We've done it one flight between two hubs on an electric airplane. Very cool stuff. So I like people who are pushing the envelope, kind of at that cutting edge. We have Hippo Harvest, which is doing robotic farming, kind of growing lettuces with 99% less water. So those are smaller things, but super interesting, kind of pushing on the envelope. Impossible Foods is another one. I like what they're doing not only because they're, I think, disrupting an industry that's carbon intensive, but they've also created a campaign for kids to learn about that and put that curriculum into schools. So that's really interesting.
I had a chance to tour the facility in Sodo where Amazon is developing the drones for package delivery. It's unbelievable what's going on. I have to be honest, like when I first heard about this sort of a decade ago, I thought it was like a PR stunt. You know, it's like, we're gonna be delivering people's packages with drones. And I was like, right, that's a great way to sort of get some attention. But then I went and saw this.
It's happening.
And it really is happening. And it's not gonna be for everyone everywhere, but for certain types of delivery situations, it'll be a more sustainable way of getting you your package in a few minutes.
Yeah, under 30 minutes.
It's absolutely amazing technology. I mean, when you mentioned electric aviation, it made me think of it. Hopefully that's a way for us to get electric aviation, for us to get from A to B a little quieter too. You're obviously so passionate about this, and you're leading sustainability for one of the largest companies in the world. You've been at it a few years though, right? 8 or 9 years, I think?
I've been at Amazon for 9 and doing this for a lot longer.
Since like before it was cool. Tell us a little bit about your story. How did you find yourself here doing this?
I've been doing sustainability a long time. Before, we called it lots of different things over the years. Corporate social responsibility and community work even. I actually wrote my senior thesis in college on public-private partnerships, which is super geeky and weird. And I did a master's in public policy and really just always loved the intersection about governments and private sector and the public sector and kind of how those things can work together. It was really interesting learning about the private sector and just the scale at which the private sector can move something. So while I saw NGOs having great ideas, the scale was small. And I saw governments having great ideas, but the pace was slow. And I thought the private sector has great ideas, moves fast, and can do things in a big way. I want to be a part of that.
That's such a great way of putting it. I love that. And it sort of helps explain this idea around business being a force for change in our society, because it can be both big and fast if it can get behind it, if there's a reason to get behind it.
Absolutely. And so I worked for a number of years, well over a decade, at a group called Business for Social Responsibility, and we worked with businesses. I was part of this sort of early GE work on eco-imagination and just got to see lots of different industries and how they operated. And then I got a call from Amazon, and I thought, well, if I want to go big, I want to go at scale, I want to move fast, I want to be inventive. What an opportunity, especially when they said, we don't have this yet. Would you want to come build it? And I love to build. So that's what brought me to Seattle.
9 years later, here you are.
9 years later.
What are you excited about right now? What's going on in the sustainability space that's good? Where's their momentum?
A couple things. We're finally starting to see these companies. A long time there's been pressure from consumers on consumer packaged good companies and consumer brands to do this. But we really need the cement industry, the steel industry, the ocean freight industry. So some of these industries that are very heavy infrastructure, hard to change, long term, we need them moving. And we're really starting to see progress there. What Maersk is doing is amazing in shipping. We have some work with them where they did an eco-delivery, they use waste fuel, they're looking at hydrogen. To change a port or to change an airport, we've all been in these airports, the infrastructure there is enormous. But to see SAF coming in, sustainable aviation fuel, those are some of the things that are actually going to make a big difference in the world. And so I think seeing those industries move is amazing. I love it.
I love those examples too
inspiring.
Of massive legacy companies changing everything because the world's changing around us and there's an opportunity. Last question, I guess, is do you have any advice for us? All of us watching, we're consumers, we're also employees at a big company. What can we do? What can we individually do, each of us? And please don't tell me to ride my bike to work, because I'll try my best, but
It's too much rain here.
Yeah, how about something even I can do?
Yeah. Well, one, I think a lot of people come, I know, at Amazon and say, we want to be part of the sustainability team. And sometimes I say, I need you where you are. Because if you're in operations or you're a driver and you're in delivery or you are looking at product, some of those changes that you can make can have the most impact. When you think about, I'm in product design and I get to say in the product design meeting before we even make the product, hey, has anybody thought about the energy efficiency of this product or the materials we're using? Could we swap out a plastic? Could we do something differently? Those kinds of things that just asking a question about what is the sustainability impact of the thing I'm doing, that is actually the most impactful thing anyone can do.
Well, Cara, I love your particular brand of optimism because it is a practical and realistic optimism. You're changing the world. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Cara
Really
Hurst,
fun.
everybody.
Thanks a lot.
And that's Sidekicks for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.